Macabre World, a podcast from Darker Arts Studio, where we explore the dark, strange, and unusual from this world and beyond. The views and opinions expressed by guests of the Macabre World podcast are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the host, podcast, or Darker Arts Studios. Hello and welcome to the Macabre World podcast. I'm your host, Rocky Digati, and welcome to part 2 of The Morrison, the story of Morrison Land, the book, the movie, the son of Jim Morrison, Cliff. And today we have a wonderful cast of characters with us, in addition to book writer and movie producer Floyd Bocox, who was with us on part 1. We also have Clara Morrison, granddaughter of Jim Morrison, daughter of Cliff, the son of Jim Morrison. And we also have Lisa, her mom, who has her own story to tell, as well as Lisa's manager, Rick Geis. Thank you all for joining me.
Hello, how are you? Thanks for having us.
It's a pleasure to have you. Clara, I'd love to start with you. Do you feel like you have very specific traits that you inherited from your grandfather and your father?
Well, something that I do get told a lot is that I sometimes stand like him and walk like him. And it's not so much like I don't always look like Jim all that much. So I mostly get like I walk and stand like him.
She has his, I think she has his mind.
And the mannerisms,
and his,
that's awesome.
She has his jaw and his teeth, and he does that. She does that lip licking thing that he does, like Cliff does, and they all do.
I definitely have his mindset.
And thanks, Lisa, for joining us. For folks that are wondering who the next voice is, that's Lisa. Lisa is Clara's mom, and Lisa, tell us a little bit about your early life with Clara and how it fits into the story with Cliff.
When I was in utero in 1971, Jim Morrison died, and all I heard was weeping and a muffled sound of a man that everybody said eventually that I take it died in a bathtub, but apparently Morrison's run eternal and his legacy didn't die in the bathtub. So I grew up with 12 uncles and aunts, and they were all young and in Bayonne, New Jersey, and mourned Jim Morrison. All of us did. Jared Leto, Corey Haim. We were all in utero when Jim died. And, you know, he's coming here for a very special purpose that you guys will hear, you know, that know about Morrison Land and my next project, The Redemption of Lucifer. But it all comes down to this. I intentionally went out to California to get pregnant with Clara to carry on the blood of Jim Morrison. I was that obsessed with Jim Morrison that I left my husband, where all I had to do is wake up, and my sons, one was not yet 3, and ran to California and came home pregnant 7 days later on Father's Day of 2007. And the proof that it happened is Clara. So it was just, and because of it, it might have scared some people, but it obliviated our lives.
Well,
and
it's an
at the
incredible
same time,
story.
we made beautiful friendships, and I have the beautiful daughter, but I did lose a son. And so there's a purpose. There was a purpose to all of it, because if none of it happened, I wouldn't be where I am right now.
Well, wherever you go, there you are. That's what they always say.
Well,
they
I
always
spent
say that the universe leads
days,
us.
the legacy of Jim Morrison in hiding. The FBI has Clara in hiding right now. Nobody knows where she is. She has 2 godfathers, Matthew Mellon, God rest his soul, right, Clara? And Michael Francesi. Yep, and she's very well protected and taken care of, but I don't have all my children together. And that was the loss of Morrison Land. Everything else was great. We met tons of people, Richard Fire. I mean, me and Floyd, I made my enemy my business partner and said, take half. So me and Floyd have been friends for a very long time. Cliff, I told him I want Jim Morrison's granddaughter. He gave it to me. and here we are. And I love my life. I'm very grateful for every moment that I have, for everything. I wouldn't change a thing. Well, maybe
So,
some things.
Clara, and I appreciate that. And it sounds like, Clara, that you're under kind of an unusual circumstance, and in no way do I want to compromise your safety. But it has to feel isolating to be in that situation.
Well, it's not all that bad. Like, I'm safe and happy and stuff, so.
Well, awesome. That's awesome. But it's, and I know now that we have video calls, we're on a Zoom now, and we have all sorts of technology. It's easier to keep in touch. But I got to tell you, I feel for you. It sounds like an unusual situation. I'm glad you're making the best of it, and it's got to be difficult.
Yeah, it is.
I can imagine.
Clara has, I think, some pretty good outlook on everything, though.
Oh, I'll say.
She's very positive. She's very focused. She wants to go into architectural engineering and build her own artificial intelligence, restaurant. She would love to tell you about. She's having an all-star party. Hopefully Johnny Depp will come, but I know Billy. Yeah, we could always get Billy Worth on the phone too. Clara, you could call him up. I mean, Clara has a lot of friends.
You might be working.
And I think it's awesome that you have fans and followers. And if anybody wants to shout out their website or whatever they want to promote, please feel free to do so. And we'll put it in the links also with the podcast. But this is a big story that starts, it starts with Jim Morrison. It starts with Cliff. And one of the things my listeners have responded to, and they're very interested in all of you and in your stories, and it's, consistent, and they all say the same thing. Where is Cliff in all of this? Can Floyd, can you maybe, or Lisa?
I can hear you. I called Lorraine, or we would say Lenny, his stepmother, a few weeks ago, a matter of fact, and nobody's picking up. My understanding, he's not doing very well. He's got cancer, and so I don't know how far it is, but I've been trying to reach out to him, but I have no success getting with him. So Lisa or maybe Clara have a better understanding when it comes to this.
Yeah. He hasn't been doing all that great.
I'm sorry to hear that.
I've talked to him, I think, about a week ago, and he was dealing with some stuff. So, yeah, it's not going too well for him.
I spoke to him on Thanksgiving, and he took out the guitar and he sang. We did a video chat, and he did a mini concert for everyone in the room. It was great.
That's very cool.
And I cried because, he told me, his condition. And I'm glad that Clara and him finally can communicate, because when he was in prison, it was very hard. Floyd and I were always going to see Cliff, and we carried the torch all these years. And Clara was little. I mean, she was 2 years old when Cliff went away. And Matthew Mellon got him an 8.5-year sentence versus a 25 to life. And Floyd knows about this. It was over, a simple, something very small. It wasn't even anything major. It was, $60 and a carton of cigarettes.
Yeah, it was more of a misunderstanding.
Yeah. And Matthew, God rest his soul, he said to me on July 16, 2012, Lisa, he called me the third Achilles. He said, I'm the warrior that they couldn't kill. And he said, I'm handing you the golden chalice. I'm putting you in charge of everybody that hurt you. Go make 3 movies. One about Morrison Land, one about me and Cliff when we were young, and one for Clara. And he said, he told me to go to the Random House, go to this, go to that. You understand, when I was pregnant with Clara, I had an ovarian torsion, so they had to open me up and take out an ovary and move Clara aside when she was in utero, which is like when the music's over. The lyric. What happened was that incision opened up because I was sick. I was vomiting. I was pregnant, and my intestines came out. of my body while I was pregnant. So the
Oh my
doctor
goodness.
puts his
That's a
hand,
lot.
jumps on the gurney, puts me back together and takes me down to the operating room. And I closed my eyes and I said, Doctor, I see a yellow light when I close my eyes. He said, then don't close your eyes. I'm going to be breathing on you in about 30 seconds to repair you. Well, I said, please don't let me die. Clara was 18 weeks in utero. I wake up and I'm like, oh my God, where is she? They put the sonogram, the little thing in here. Da-dum, 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 da-dum. There she is. There she is.
Well, I'm so
Stuck her with
glad you both
knives
made
in
it
the
through
side
that.
of dawn. Yeah, it was a miracle.
That is a miracle.
It was literally a miracle. And then so when we went to Sony said, listen, we never heard of such a thing, let alone be pregnant with the granddaughter of Jim Morrison. Nobody has ever been able to prove us wrong. And they never are going to, because it's the truth. And just because people don't want to accept it, they give Clara a hard time. They've given Floyd a hard time. It's because Cliff did the blood tests in the 90s. It was simple. You could tell who he was, and he's not the Counts, he's Jim's. And he carried the torch. He did albums. He has 2 albums. He has No Peeking, Color of People. He went to jail. And when he came out, Floyd and I met him around the same time. Now, Floyd put a lot of money into Cliff Morrison. And when Cliff went to prison, we tried to carry this. We want to do the movie, Morrison Land. Floyd's been pushing on this movie, the book he put out. And Matthew Mellon is very much part of the movie, but we have to tread carefully on that. He was about to sign a $500,000 movie deal for us, and then he died on April 16th, and right after Cliff got out, exactly a month after Cliff got out. So what happened was Cliff promised Clara, you could tell him what happened with Wichita. She asked Cliff, buy me a husky. I want a dog. And Cliff and Rick went to the Hells Angels, got money, and went and we bought Clara a husky, Wichita. Matthew's dead, and now me and the dog are living in the car. No deal, no movie deal. Cliff's in hiding now because Matthew died, and he just got out, and he's a recluse now in Joshua Tree somewhere. And I'm sitting here with a little puppy and saying, what just happened to my life? Where's my kids? And I can't get out of this forest. You want to know why? If everything did not happen the way it happened. So what's the price of a man's life? A son, Clara, Cliff being a recluse, me and Floyd not having our business anymore because Lisa ran away with Levi and the dog and never seen her again. Come to the Manistee Forest. You'll never want to leave either.
I mean, there's no accounting that the twists and turns in this story are great and varied.
Mm-hmm.
And that
Very.
there is a very distinct chaos to it.
A very complicated man.
Yes.
Well, yeah, and it makes sense that it wouldn't be simple. It's not gonna, it's not gonna be simple. So we spoke of this amazing story, and we've talked about the legacy. What is next for this story?
Well, for me, Clara going into her education really hardcore and learning what she wants to do and building her artificial intelligence based restaurant, Five Nights at Freddy, theme. She's an amazing artist. She draws like you wouldn't believe. She's like Walt Disney.
Oh, that's fantastic. I'm an artist too. I love that stuff.
Yeah, I want to see her succeed in that. Like, I want to see her go forward with her dreams. She can always go. She used to sing to me on the phone when she was little. She's got the singing thing, but she doesn't depend on it, right, Clara? It's not something she puts first. She puts her heart and soul into this project she's working on. And the other thing I'm looking forward to is to have a kick-ass movie with Floyd this time, because Morrison Land is more than just Cliff. This story is Cliff just sat in the jail or in a camp or somewhere hiding. when it comes down to it, all he did was sing the albums and leave, have Clara and leave. That's it. Floyd was the one doing all this. I was the one with this. Cliff was away. So it's like, it was Morrison Land, just like spread to everyone. I mean, there are so many people connected throughout the world from Jim and just this thing that Cliff and I had Clara, because I had to have the granddaughter of Jim Morrison, the grandchild. I was destined to do this, and I did, and it scared my ex-husband. And to this day, I do regret hurting him. I do. I was an idiot. All I had to do was wake up. But you can't go back there. You can't say I can't get on the plane, because then there would be no Clara. Everything had to be this way. Jim said his lyrics. That's what Clara was trying to say. Like, he has like all these deep meanings in his lyrics that are hidden, and now you could see them, and it's scary. I ran around looking for this voice. Who is this man? And then finally I seen him, and I fell in love with him. I must have been a year old. I fell in love with him in utero since 1971. Brought me, and my uncle said, Lisa, I'm sorry. Maybe we shouldn't have pushed Jim on you and said, hey, go find us. We were only kidding. You were a kid. I said, no, because Clara was meant to be here. She has a purpose, and that's her secret. That's her thing to tell. I'm not telling anybody what her purpose is. The foundation, that's something Matthew would like Clara to have.
It seems like there are really several stories and several incredible lives wrapped up into this entire package.
Absolutely.
Now, Rick here, let me introduce Rick, please. Rick is my friend from childhood. We grew up in church together. He's a suit. He's the most straightest, logical man you know. But I don't want to get off track, but what wound up happening with Rick was he just kept me, Lisa, you got to finish Morrison Land. When me and Floyd stopped talking because he had family things to do, and I was stuck in with doing my family thing. But Rick kept saying, Lisa, don't give up. You got to do Morrison Land. You got to rewrite it. And then I finally came to him. But now we have Cliff in prison, who, you know what? Cliff and I were more like friends at this point. And Cliff was so devastated, he sent the freaking SWAT team in here for me.
Oh,
Cliff was so mad. He and Lenny sent the cops and the SWAT team in, because I'm living in a cabin in the woods. I live off grid. This guy does everything. He cuts down trees. He's the man of my dreams. And on top of it, Cliff's not mad at me about it. He's just mad because, so he doesn't want, everybody to be estranged. Cliff didn't want me and Clara to be separated. But the FBI strong-armed me out of Clara for her safety. Sometimes just boggles my mind, because I was mad when I came here at Jim. I just lost Scotty. I just lost this. I don't want to listen to Jim. Brian had a bonfire with all my Jim Morrison shit. It caused a problem, but then he started realizing what was really going on here, and him and Clara got closer and closer, and the connection with Jim and their little secret languages that they talk. And no matter what happens, I have exhibited unconditional love. There's always going to be that. But here we are, a man, right? Yeah, there's no control. That the man is his own man. I had to learn, which I didn't know how to do with Cliff, and I didn't know how to do with Brian or even Clara. I didn't do this with anybody.
So I'm gonna hold you for a second, and not to delay your point. I'm gonna hold you for a second and just try to shift gears on one thing. So we have this. There is some amazing music that is every bit as good as The Doors, every bit as good as anything out there, that is still kind of hanging in the balance, even though it was made a while back from Cliff. And there's this incredible story. And I think what a lot of people that are listening are trying to figure out where they can get more of this information. Where can they get more of this music? Where can they get more of this story? And we're talking about the music. We're talking about, it's an incredible thing.
Floyd, when did Color People come out? Matthew actually wrote that one song, but Floyd would know when it came out. So that album Floyd knows about the sales and everything of that. he takes care of the business. We wrote this beautiful scene with Pick Up and Go, which is Cliff's song.
We're going to hear a little bit of that now.
And I believe that his music should be interjected in Morrison Land, and as much as we can, or in, sequels or prequels, because the music is what we have of Cliff. This is what we're going to have when he's gone.
That's the legacy.
We have Clara, but we have his words still. And he wrote Color of People while I was pregnant with Clara, a lot of those songs. And the fact that I took a lot of my anger out on Cliff when he really just did what I asked him, was give me Clara.
Right.
And so I was beating him up. So his music kind of reflected that. But then he went away, and
right.
he wrote more songs.
Floyd, I'm gonna have you hold for 1 second, Lisa, and ask for Floyd. We were talking a little bit too about Rock Down, August Moon. We're gonna play a little bit of those on the podcast too. What's happening with the music in the movie?
All right, so music is, it's all accounted for. It's already with BMI publishing and all that, so that's already done. Copyrights, we're all safe, we don't have to worry about that. And yeah, you can go to iTunes, and it's with DistroKid and Spotify. It's out there. All the music is already out there, and it's in the mix. And then with the movie in itself, we're just on the last page right now for funding, and after that, then we go straight into production. So we're on the last part right now, Rocky, and this is it. This is why I thought that, we get these podcasts out and get everybody aware of this, and we'll be able to push this to the next level. That's our agenda, is to get this movie going. That's what I want to do, this true life story for everybody, all of us.
And well, one of the things I was going to say is that this is an incredible story. And I don't think it's very difficult to dispute, if someone listens to the music. Lack of a better term, the resemblance in the voice is marked. The resemblance visually is marked. The idea of a rock star, having more than one partner and having a child is not unique or unusual. And so I don't see that there's any disproving the facts that are obvious.
I spoke to Louis.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Louis Reisman. We've spoken to Grandpa. They don't know who Cliff is, and Louis Reisman said the only reason why Cliff wasn't acknowledged is because Jim Morrison did his will in February of 1969, the month that Cliff was conceived. So because Cliff was not in the actual will, and it was all left to Pam, when the Morrisons went up against the Corsons for that and the Doors, Cliff was not involved, but he did have communication with Alan Graham, and as well as
one thing that was never brought up is that Lisa brought to my attention was that in a court of law in New Jersey, Cliff had to take the stand, and at that time he was a felon. And Lisa, touch on that, where he was on the court and actually took the faith, the oath, and he would have committed perjury if they didn't believe who he stated and who he was. You remember that conversation?
Yes, and the attorney John Perone said he sent letters to all of them and asked for the proof that he wasn't the son, and they couldn't come up with that. And I said, then if they would have that, in a frame over their fireplace. So because nobody could come up with the proof that he wasn't, and Cliff went, on the stand in the state of New Jersey and said who he was.
Yeah.
And Clara, I had some questions for you specifically,
Well, something I would like to put out there is that my birth definitely put a positive and a negative effect on people. Well, my life was pretty interesting growing up because of Jim, but something people can't do is prove me wrong for being the granddaughter of Jim Morrison.
Absolutely. And I've heard your dad's music, and I see a resemblance very strongly throughout yourself, your dad, and your grandfather. I don't think that it's a very difficult thing to believe at all. And but that's really big. I mean, do you feel like it's a big legacy? Do you feel like you have a bigger purpose because of it?
Well, that would be in Jim's secret alphabet for sure. But something that isn't a secret is, well, the foundation my godfather, Matthew Mellon, wants me to open, which I'm planning on doing when I'm older.
And talking about a charitable foundation?
Yes.
Any particular venue or type of charity, or you're still working that out?
I'm still working that out, deciding and stuff.
Well, I think it's undisputed that you would do great things. I think you're already set up for it for sure. And that is, like I said, a very, very daunting and famous legacy. What kind of relationship do you have with your dad and the Morrison family?
Well, with my father, it was kind of hard talking to him when I was younger and he was in prison. But now that he's out, me and him talk every now and then about life and stuff.
And have you had any contact with the other generation of Morrisons, like the folks that were like, I guess, your great aunt? Or
well, I don't really remember this, but I know when I was younger, I was held by Jim's father when I was a baby.
Oh, that's pretty big. The family legacy, it is so much to be a part of. What is it that you do for yourself that you set yourself apart? Because in addition to being part of this legacy, you're also you. Tell me what Clara is about.
Clara is. I don't really know. It's just like I'm a very interesting person. There's a lot going on about me.
I haven't met you for very long, and I can already agree, because I know you're into science, and you're really into different types of development and technology. So tell us a little about what your passions are.
Well, I want to open up a restaurant based off of a video game I grew up with.
Oh, that's very cool.
I'm hoping it will work out for me.
I'm hoping it does too. I think that's a great thing. Now, you have some fans that are out in the universe, and apparently they have some questions for you. Did you want to talk about those?
Yes. So I have 2 right now, and I'll just read off of the questions and answer them.
Awesome.
All right. So here is the first fan question. Do you write any songs or lyrics, and do you sing? So currently, no, I don't write my own songs, but I am teaching myself how to sing. Singing will be a backup just in case what I want to do in life doesn't work out. What I am doing is going towards a architectural and engineering career because I want to build a multi-million-dollar artificial intelligence restaurant based off the video game, well, yet again, that I grew up with.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yes.
And second question is that both questions in one?
So I have the second question.
Okay.
Do kids and teachers at school treat you differently? Well, the kids, yes, they do treat me differently, mostly because it's either they don't really believe or they're just jealous, and they kind of see me as the weird kid just because of what I like and stuff. But
I get it.
I would tell them, and they would be like, "Oh yeah, really? Where's the proof?" And I'm like, "I don't need to prove myself."
Good for you.
I do get bullied. Well, I was bullied before, but it's just more like making fun of me and stuff. But they kind of think I'm stupid and I don't know what they're doing. But I don't try to involve with those people. So
I'm really sorry that's happened to you, because I was bullied also. And I think whenever, and it doesn't, there's a lot of varied reasons why kids do what kids do. And I hate to tell you, even though I'm 10,000 years old, they don't change. It gets better. And for sure.
Let me just interject. Let me just interject here. But
yes, Rick.
a lot of Clara's bullying actually is coming from the teachers, not the students, and it's kind of sad.
Well, that's
because,
a shame.
Clara's not the first young woman to tell me that she's having more problems with bullying. Not from the students, but she's being bullied by the teachers.
Mostly the kids.
Don't they come up to you sometimes, Clara, and ask you about Grandpa? They do.
Oh, yes, they do. So it's not so much the teachers anymore, but something I do get from the teachers is that when I tell them, they usually start to freak out after I tell them, but then a few seconds later, they end up saying that they didn't think Jim had kids, but they were wrong. So
I agree. And that's, but I like I said, it does get better. And I think something I always tell my friends' kids, because I don't have kids, but I always talk to my friends' kids, is that one of the things, the benefit of being the weird kid is that while you're a kid, it sucks. Oh, it's terrible. But as you get older, everybody else has nothing really, the most interesting part of their life passes. And when you have like a broader mind, I think you become more interesting as you get older. And then suddenly, you're not the weird kid anymore. You're still, your own yourself. So
yes,
it gets better. And you know what? I can only see bright things for you. And I am dying to find out what kind of food an AI restaurant serves.
So what I'm doing is, so in this game, it's called Five Nights at Freddy's.
Okay.
And so I found out about it when I was younger. Someone that I knew showed it to me. And I was about maybe like 6, turning 7. And ever since then, I've been kind of just stuck with it. The only thing I draw is the characters from that game.
Okay.
And now that I'm older, people start to think I'm childish for still liking it. And they're coming out with a movie soon, so I'm kind of excited for that.
So you're on the edge. You're not child. You're on the cutting edge of pop culture. So I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I have some really, really fun questions that are just about you. Peanut butter, crunchy or creamy?
Creamy.
Okay. So what would be your favorite dish at the AI restaurant?
My favorite dish would probably be the burgers. I love burgers.
I have to agree with you
there. I second that.
Burgers are great.
Yes.
I don't think anybody's going to fight.
Apologies to all the vegans out there. Please do not write me letters. But yes, burgers are great.
Yes.
They can order the veggie burger, the veggie burger.
Yeah.
There you go. They can order the veggie burger. Well, we're going to wrap things up.
Order the veggie.
We're going to wrap things up here. I want to thank you, Clara, for your candor and for talking with us today. Rick, thank you so much for being here. And Lisa and Floyd, what's next? What should we be on the lookout for?
Well, I don't know if we still want to continue on our episodes or.
I'm sure we'll check back in.
Yeah, we'll check in.
Yeah, I would say the next project and what people should keep an eye out for is Lisa's book, Morrison Land, her true story of Morrison Land.
So for folks who are looking to get more of the story, they can look out for books, they can look out for movies, and that sort of thing. Oh, yes, Floyd, I didn't want to cut you off. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. No, my intent is to stay focused on this film project that we're doing. And we just need to get funded and then we move on. That's my intent. That's what I'm focused on.
Well, with such a tremendous legacy and with so much buzz always around the doors forever and a day and for more, I think that it is an important story, and I'm rooting for all of you to get your stories out there and to make sure that they're heard. So once again, thank you so much to Floyd Bocox, Lisa Morrison, Richard Geis, and of course, Clara Morrison for all of your contributions. And for everyone out there, thank you for listening. And remember, stay kooky out there. Once again, thanks for listening. And we're going to leave you with a little bit of August Moon from Cliff Morrison. And you can find him on Spotify, Amazon Music, wherever you stream your music. Thank you so much for listening.
Yes, I know what you know as I see through your eyes. There's something that
Thank you for listening to Macabre World. You can find us on the web at www.darkerartsstudio.com.